right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another tool shed. Thank you for being here, Angus, Mark, Martin, Chris, Gary, Marissa, Mark, Scott. Lovely to have you guys. We've got a slight pivot with today's tool shed. It's normally with Jerry and myself, but today we've got AJ, Andrew Johnson, who is on the call as well. And Andrew
Hello,
and
all.
his team are responsible for all of our beautiful tools content. So, g'day, AJ. Nice to have you.
Oh, yeah, more comfortable, yeah, doing pictures than being in front of a camera, to be honest. But let's see how we go.
You're a decent picture yourself, mate. So, and you'll hear a bit from Andrew
Right.
later. He'll demo the Revit add-on. So let's jump into it. Now, Jerry was actually called away. He was in court at the moment as an expert witness, I believe, on unfortunately on a defect claim, as he's representing one of the parties. But yeah, so today is tools platform essentials, and I thought topical actually to talk really briefly about this before we jump into the essentials of tools. And we've for several years now, just through consultation and speaking with the industry, this is generally what we're speaking to clients, and we're saying on average a project is going to cost between 2 to 7% of wastage due to defects, due to rework, due to stress. But also the productivity losses, the embarrassment, the reputational damage of getting things wrong. So we've always sat between 2 to 7% of wastage on a project. And you know, about 5% was where we're at. But I was speaking with an enterprise builder yesterday who said, well, actually, that's a conservative level. And now I do encourage you to check this out. It's, I might put this into our chat, but Gary, Get It Right Initiative is a UK-based initiative who are basically saying enough is enough. You know, let's get it right the first time. Let's give our construction teams, everyone from design through to construction, what they need to get it right, because it's far more beneficial. And interestingly enough, Gary, who there's some reports there actually, so I'd encourage you if you're interested to go and check out the reports and have a read of this site. They think, they said key international studies suggest that the direct cost of avoidable errors is in the order of 5%, which is where we were sitting. Our research has revealed that the true figure is closer to 21%, which is significant, right? And they're obviously talking in pounds because they're British, but that 21%, you think, geez, that's high. But the latency of defects, so defects not detected at handover, indirect costs, such as, you know, if it takes 10 minutes to find the answer in something, but somebody takes 1 hour to find it, interpret it, speak with a colleague, you know, those inefficiencies, direct costs. But AJ, we were talking about process waste, and you saw an example of that spoken about the other day.
Yeah. Building commissioner at the TAFE, was it? Yeah, the TAFE sort of startup meeting that all the teachers are involved in. Yeah, just simple things as when when constructing a interior walls in a building, you're using your timber studs. Someone's finished the job, they throw all the timber in the bin, and then someone comes back and gets a new length of timber just to put in some noggings and things like that. So it's the example was just to leave some lengths of timber scattered around the building for someone to use rather than chucking them in the bin.
Yeah, and a lot of margin is thrown in the bin. So so do check out Geary. We're actively in looking to connect with these guys. We love some of the stuff they're doing, and they're advocating for error-free work. It's more beneficial for everyone. Perhaps for the legal crowd who profit off disputes, perhaps not. But for us professionals in the industry, get it right first time. So that is that. Now, platform essentials. Now, so today is really about how to get the most out of tools. It is also an Ask Us Anything session, so please jump on the chat and drop us a message if you've got any questions, and either AJ or I will endeavor to answer. The first thing to jump through is just to know the difference between web and mobile. So we have two platforms. We have the website, the web platform, and that's what you can see here. And really the web platform is a fully functional, fully featured version of our application, and it's got all of the various elements like generating spec blocks and so on. But you can get it also on your mobile app, so on your tablet or your mobile phone. And if you're on Android, you can jump in. Rather than downloading games, you can download tools, and you must search building tools, because if you search tools, you'll get all sorts of stuff, right? So if you search building tools, you'll find our app there. It's free to download, so grab that as well. But same with iOS if you're an Apple user. But always have a copy of the web app either on your mobile device or you're obviously on your desktop as well. So that's the first thing, just to know that there's two different platforms for you to use. Now let's talk about getting around. Now a lot of you, if you're used to using tools, you'll be au fait with this stuff, but I'll just cover it again really quickly. So getting around, navigation is important. So we've got search, menu, and view all. So if I go back to tools, so we've obviously got this graphical system, and we've got the categories. Hopefully that's in an intuitive setup. So you can then, and everything is nested in. So you should then be able to just have a look and just naturally go around and explore tools. The other one is to use search. Now we're very excited to, we've engaged a project within tools just recently, which is going to turbocharge our search. So our search it's decent. It's going to get a significantly better. You'll be able to just get better, more relevant results. So you can search something generic like glazing, or if you know a particular code, you can search by code as well. And then lastly is the view all. So if you go right down the bottom to view all tools, you may prefer this style, and you can then from here you can then jump into a particular tool. Okay, so that is getting around. Hopefully that makes sense. Keep an eye on notifications. We are, I think, well, that's for today, but there's always new tools. I think a new tool went out today, which was metal structure. So if I go under structure and go under steel. So we're going to be adding, so we've got a timber version of this, and now here's the steel version. So we're going to be populating this with more and more steel-based information in the coming weeks and months. So keep an eye on that. But if you haven't seen that tool, I might just share that with you all now, and you should be able to take a look. So that's in your chat. So that is that's notifications. Keep an eye on that. What does it all mean? So let's go through some of the tools content. So if I, for example, go to, what should we go to, AJ? Metal plus photo.
Oh, yeah, that'll do.
That'll do. Okay, so actually there's no code base. Is there code base content on here?
There wouldn't be much on this one.
How about we go to floor installation?
Yeah, again, that was more informative. Something like stairs or something.
Yeah, let's go to wall framing. All right. So all of the red content on here, is code based. Okay, so if you see any red content, it is code based. So know that. And then we as part of our verification process, which is a pretty in-depth process, 3-step veracity flow, and the last step of that is to cite back to the original source, right? So anything with a superscript, you should be able to go in, click on that. If you click on that or tap it, it'll copy to your clipboard, and then you can then just go in and search or go back to your base source, and you'll be able to hopefully find what you're looking for back in the original source. So all of our content is cited. There is also so even information like this, you can see with top plate stiffening, you can click there and you'll get the citation. We also have hotspots, which I am not seeing on this particular tool. Let's go to not the glazing audit. Let me show you an example of a hotspot. So hotspot, there's one there. All right. So this glazing audit tool's got a hotspot, which has got some basic information in the hotspot, but then you can click on it to open up the side panel, and that's got additional information. Notice the citations, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. If you click on those, it'll give you the various references in there. Okay, so you can see the NCC references, but number 4 there is an industry recommendation. AJ, do you want to talk about industry recommendation, the difference between that?
Yeah, I mean they're just recommended practices, I guess. They don't add any cost to a project. So within tools we have industry or informative industry recommendations. They're sort of, yeah, they're not code obviously, but general knowledge, recommended ways to do things. So it might be from manufacturers' recommendations. Obviously you've got to go and, depending on the system you're specifying or installing, you'd have to check with that manufacturer and not tools. Yeah, and best practice, which is the blue stuff. I don't think we haven't shown an example of that. You've probably seen it though, is, that's where it's, best practice. You might be saying stainless steel in 316 stainless instead of gal steel. So you're adding cost to the project if you occasionally with best practice, I guess.
Yeah. So an example of best practice content is here in blue. And notice how we've actually put that. So falls to exterior, we've said what 1 in 100 fall, and that's a best practice. And that's based on us consulting with professionals like yourselves. You'll also find best practice dotted around. So here you've got code base. So the rises and goings is definitely code base. So you can get the citations. Notice how we've got the classes here. Quite often we get asked, oh, well, tools, is it resi focused or is it commercial? Well, the majority of our content is classless because we say, a handrail is a handrail is a handrail unless it's class specific. So where things are class specific, we state that, and you look out for these blue labels. And you can notice here, comfortable. What we've said is for comfort, here's your rises and goings. So just look out for that blue content. Just note that it is best practice. Okay, and then informational was I think what selection. You noticed on that last tool that I was on, you notice here the gray little I, that is informational, and you can see that. So that's, yeah, as AJ said, manufacturers' recommendations. Do your research. But we've tried to include information on that. Also notice on these hotspots, you've got calculators and images. So that just tells you that there's more information. Whenever I see that, I click in just to take a look. So that should be a little trigger on your curiosity to say, oh, look, what's in there? What's the calculator in there? So you click on that, and with glass selection, you've got a host of additional information, yeah? And we've made that gray because it is informative content. So generally our calculators are tables to help you calculate. One day we might build in things that you can punch in and it'll spit out answers. And then images are basically mini tools within a tool. So there's a wealth of additional information hidden in hotspots. So do take the time to click around and get to know your tools, because once you know your tool, you'll remember for that particular job, or if you're speaking to someone and say, I'll just go and quickly share that tool with them. So I'll share that into our chat now. So that's a tool's content. So we've talked about code-based content, best practice, hotspots, and informational. I've spoken about citations. We sometimes get asked, well, can you link the citations back to the source documents? One of the challenges with linking back to the NCC is the pages change. And if we did do that, it would be a nightmare to maintain, and they often break those links. So we've just given you the citations, very easy to copy and paste and do your own search. Versions, right? I had someone talking about a project. This is a large builder talking about projects that were on, was it 2016, AJ?
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, right? You got 16, you got 19, 22, 25's coming out. We may do more of these differences. If you missed it just before Christmas, it's under skills. We did an overview of the major changes that you can expect for NCC 2025. If you've not seen this, let me share that with you. So you can take a look. But we may do one for some of the earlier versions as well, but you can click through and, you can take a look at, for example, with comfort, with with climate zones, and spend some time learning that. So this is a summary that AJ and his team have created to make it easy to understand what's changing in 25 once it's adopted. Most of our content is based on NCC 2022. And you'll see here on the right-hand side, there's what we're calling the NCC switcher. It's locked at the moment because you're already on 22. And we're not really going backwards, unless there's an uproar and saying we must have 19 content, maybe we'll look into it. But we're really starting at 22 and we're going forward from there. So once 25 is released, you'll have the benefit of using the switcher. So I'll just show you an example. I think it's in baths, insert. So all of the code on this particular tool here is based on NCC 22. You'll then have the benefit of being able to switch forward to 25 once that's released. So if you're doing a new project and you want to base it on the updated codes, you can switch. And you can see here now I switched backwards to 19. You can always also go to the About Us just to see the NCC version, see when it was published. Whenever we update a tool, we update the version as well. One thing to keep in mind is that if you specify a tool and put it into documentation, it is frozen in time. Okay, so that concept basically means that if I generate a specification block, which we're going to come to, it's very small, but it says there in that tiny text, it says specified on 13th of Feb, I hope that's today's date, at 2:46, which is pretty accurate, PM, that's Australian Eastern Standard Time. And so even if in 2 or 3 years time there's an issue, there's a dispute, heaven forbid, if people are accessing that, it'll go back to that version. It won't show the latest. So you can rest assured that if you're specifying tools in your documents or in your reports, in future it'll always go back to the version at the time at which it was specified. I hope that makes sense. Alrighty, last point around navigation is AJ and the team are also monitoring feedback. We love feedback. We get a ton of feedback, requests, questions. So you can on any tool generate, so if you've got help, issue, some technical feedback. Now we're not a consultancy, we're not charging people for consultancy, so please respect that. We'll give you generic nature, generic information. But consult with your experts, but you can come to us with ideas. We also get great feedback saying, hey, I'd love to see this tool, or suggest laying it out like that. So we get some great ideas, so please feel free to jump on the feedback.
And any feedback that comes in, we sort of we tick off vote. We've got a voting system going, so the more people that ask for something, it gets promoted, I guess.
Great. And then actually on that, let me not glaze over that. That voting system means that we've got a long content roadmap, and the more votes we get for particular tools, they jump the queue. So your feedback and your voting helps us prioritize what we release. As you know, if you're tools members, we release stuff every week. So your votes count. And then your feedback, there's also feedback in there. So that's versions, sharing is caring. I've been sharing a couple of links. So we have the mantra find, zoom, share. So if you've got a detail, let's go right here with shower the set down. If you've got a detail and you there's a lot of information there on screen. But if you're speaking with someone on the phone or you want to get some info, make sure you find the tool, zoom in. So if it's specifically falls to floor waste that you're talking about, maybe set your view and then generate the share link, because the recipient will see there's a preview. So always just take a quick look at that. And if you're not happy with that preview, then go, oh, look, I want to zoom out a bit more, and then set your view. So set the view before you generate the share link. And then if you click on this link, which I'll drop in our chat, you'll notice it zooms straight into that. So that's one way to share. Another way to share is through our PDFs. So if on the right-hand side here, it is a pro feature, and you can do the full tool, which is the zoomed out view, or the current view, right? So the current view is the zoomed in view, or whatever view you set. Just note that the full tool takes about 30 seconds to generate. The server's got to do its thing. The current view, which is dynamically generated, takes about a minute, so it's not instant. So yeah, you know, and then it starts kind of processing in the background, and and that can be, if you're in design, you can get those PDFs and put them as part of your document pack. So that's another way to do it. We'll show you spec blocks in a second. But the other way to do it is to actually, and AJ is going to demonstrate the Revit add-on really soon. We've got about 10 minutes or so left. You can create a project, right? So if you've got a particular project, you can, and there's a shower with a set down there. There's my PDF I generated. Let me just show you this real quick now that it's there. So that's what our PDFs look like. It's got the title, it's got a QR code, so if it's printed, people can go back to that version. It's also got the specified date, which I mentioned before, frozen in time. And if they're looking at it digitally, they can click and that'll load. Or if it's printed, they can scan and get access as well. So yeah, so coming back to projects, people are using this in different ways. Some people are using it to just create a favorites list. So if they're dealing with fire and they want to add a bunch of fire related tools, and it just serves as a quick way to, so, you know, bushfire, for example, they can quickly just save this to a particular project. So let me just save it. You can also add notes, you know, and you can say take note of X, Y, Z, and that can be a note to you or a note with somebody that you share. Select your project, which I'll add to that one. It's probably not related to accessible bathroom, bushfire, but that gets added to the project. You can then go to that project, and then you've got all of your different things, right? And I just added fire there it is there, Bell 29, take note, and that's shown there. Okay, we probably don't have a lot of time to talk about projects. I can do a more specific run on this, but if you haven't checked out projects, its initial intention was, so people are using it to share tools, but its initial intention was to create graphical specifications so that the trades can quickly get access to the information they need. So check out, there's a couple of videos there around spec tools, which is a graphical specification, and we'd love to get your thoughts on it. You know, use it, play with it. And we're going to do a round of updates on that shortly. Probably our next thing, and AJ, if you want to get yourself ready, we'll jump to you shortly. So I think I've spoken about recipients, share link, PDF, 30 to 60 second generation, spec blocks, project share. Now projects, creating faves, and then graphical specification. Well, we've done a lot, haven't we? So with our Revit demo, the reason for creating that Revit add-on, and we've been promising you guys for a long time that we'll do one for Archicad, and we will. We've just got a lot of things prioritized at the moment, but so the idea of the Revit add-on is to allow you to specify as you design. So as you're so this is for our designers obviously out there, and as you're designing, rather than putting in all of the compliance into your drawing, it's saying just drop a tools spec block in there. So the purpose of the Revit add-on is not to import a tools model into your CAD program so you can move walls around. It's meant to be a reference. So AJ, if you want to take over share and just give us a demo of the Revit add-on.
Yep.
And I'll stop sharing if you want to start.
Just moved on me. Okie dokes. Let's see. So first I'll go, so yeah, in our sharing properly, cool. So yeah, if you go to the App Store and type in tools spec block, probably let's see, I'll just paste a link on the chat. Where's the chat gone on me?
That's all right, I'll get it on
there. You've got it, have you?
I'll drop it on there. You keep going.
Yeah, all right, I'll keep going. Okay, so yeah, so just download that. So it's from Revit 2020 up. So that should cover everyone on Revit. It is only for full Revit, not Revit Lite. You can't have add-ons, unfortunately. So sorry, just hide this bar. It pops up on you. Okay, so once it's installed, there's the spec block specifier tool and just a link to the website. So if you click that, right, it should have just log in. I was logged in the other day, so I don't know what's, yeah. All right, so now I'm logged in. Get rid of that. So this is the spec block generator. Yeah, so basically you can go to the tools website. I'll just take a step back. So if as you're building, like as you're designing your project, the plan is the good one. So you want a planter on a terrace. It's over a habitable space, so high risk. There's traditionally so this is an old project, so traditionally we'd draw the planter box. You do a full detail on the waterproofing and the drainage, cells, protection, everything there. So what you can do now with tools is basically draw a so I'll just do a filled region over the. So basically what you can do is sorry, just make that. No, I forget about it. So you can all you need to do is draw your planner, show the extents and materials that you want to include, and then you can just put a spec block. Sorry, go to the tools website. This is why I'm not very good at displaying things on screens.
Whilst he's talking, I'm going to say hi. Sorry,
Oh, boy,
came from an NCAT.
Jerry's
Came from an NCAT matter that, again, a complete waste of time, which is why we want tools to reduce the stress on the system with all of us having to go to these silly conflicts.
Yeah. So what you can do is you open the tool, grab the planner box. You can either copy the URL or just copy the share link. Go back into Revit.
So that's a really important step, is to copy either the URL or the share link, and then come back to Revit to drop it in.
Yeah, so you can paste it in. So you've got planner box. If you want to save, so if you're building a specification, you can build your specs as you work in Revit, so you don't have to come at the end and then do all the, basically chase your own tail. So I can select project. I can add a note exactly like Siva did before, and then add to sheet. So what that'll do is it'll paste a spec block into the sheet. You can drag it. You can drag these around, so get them off. You can, have a list of them at the bottom. Just put the reference on there. And then, yeah, the other option is if you can also add a leader to those. So you can just, oops. Yeah, you can just, you can have your box with a leader arrow pointing to it rather than, the freedom of how you want to work in Revit, basically. And then when you print this, just print that page into a PDF. Just save that there. So this is the PDF file that comes out. So you can click this to go to, so anyone who receives the PDF, basically, they don't, they just click it and get that view straight away of what you specified.
Excellent. Yeah.
I missed.
So I mean, there's various benefits for doing this. One application that we've seen is just the transfer of knowledge, right? Being able to, for the people you work with, that you rely on, whether they're subcontractors or whether they're other consultants, just being able to transfer the compliance required to build your detail, rather than you having to specify it painfully in the blocks. Jerry, thanks for joining us. AJ, is there any more on the Revit add-on that you want to add to? Because
No, that should be fine. I guess
Check it out, guys.
any questions or
Yeah, and there's a couple. So Chris, thanks for your feedback, and Mark also. So, you know, if there are issues, please get in touch. We really, your support is fantastic. It's what's driving this project. So it's really good. So Archicad, is there a plugin coming for Archicad, Angus? You're about the 1,000th person that's asked us that, so we will get it, and I promise it. Jerry's on the call; he's hearing it first. So as soon as we can, we will roll that out. But at this present moment, it's just the Revit add-on. There's Archicad, and there was one other, Jerry. There's one other CAD software that we were looking at. The name is...
There is, but I'm going to give you all a shortcut. AJ's shown how to drop a spec block on. I am sharing tools the whole time, and they can be cut into PDFs, they can be lodged. But the shortcut to all of this is just saying that everything shall be in accordance with whatever's on your set of documents and tools. So that even though you may not have dumped the actual planter on there or the stair handrail detail, as long as you refer to it, you've got that overarching coverall. But look, it is a work in progress, and I look forward to feedback. And it's so good to see all of you online, because I reckon this is it's the CPD from heaven for me, but I reckon this is the best CPD we do as an industry.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And next week, Jerry's back, I believe. Jerry, you remember we're going to do a module, a micro-learning module?
Old man alert. I don't have the calendar up, but...
we'll be doing something. We'll let you know.
Just keep them talking for a second and I'll tell you.
Well, I think that's about it. We'll probably announce it on email. So thank you all for being here. And then I think the other thing is that we did preempt. I know we've been saying for about a year or so that CPD is coming soon. It really is coming soon. So we're starting to build that function, which is going to reward your usage of tools. So as you're using tools, as you're sharing tools, as you're essentially exerting knowledge-seeking behavior, you will be rewarded with tool status, which will go towards showcasing your continuous or your commitment to CPD.
And you can be a craftsman from behind the desk too. So we're talking about formwork next week. So you're going to get lots of tips from the hundreds of people who've taught me about how to get really good quality finishes. So I'll be talking about concrete as well as formwork. But also please bring it, and love to get any tips and smart ideas from all of you.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Cheers.
thanks all.